Anyway, so get back to the movie. They go. Oh, he hyperspaces into the and like stops the Falcon short of crashing, which was kind of cool. But like, it just seems like JJ is always trying to crash iconic ships,
yeah,
or make iconic ships come out of the ocean and shit like that. So,
well, the Falcon does live, so
thank
that's
God.
good. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and going back to Solo's death, he we're kind of jumping all around, but like I think said like he wanted to go out in a fiery death, and so like I don't know, like a heroic fiery death. I don't know. Would you think that this is the best way for him to go out, or would you expecting him to like do something fucking crazy heroic, like drive up into the Independence Day ship and blow it up, you know, kind of thing?
I think if it was in Jedi, I would have expected it then, but because he's so much older and he has a son, like it makes his death really hard to accept inside the Star Wars universe.
Yeah,
meaning
really
like
tragic.
If like Han was killed by blaster fire, then you know he was just a casualty of war.
Right.
And in the same way, he is a casualty of war, but he was killed by his own son, so that his son could fall deeper into the dark side.
Yeah.
Oh, so man. You
dude,
know,
he's got balls. JJ's got balls, dude. He's got balls. I swear to God.
So like
that's so.
So
tough
think about how Kylo Ren idolizes Darth Vader, right? Mm-hmm. And like, there's no Jedi Academy, and he can't find Luke. There's no Jedi temple for him to slaughter other Jedi. What's the next closest thing he has? You know, is his father. So like, I gotta wonder why he has such big beef with Han and not Leia.
Well, we don't know yet.
Yeah, so I mean that's one of those things where like I need to find out later on in the movie.
I'm surprised Han didn't say like, "Hey, Leia and I, miss you. Your mom and I miss you." Whatever. He just says,
I thought he did.
I think he just says, "I miss you. We want you to come home." I don't know if he even mentions his mother.
No, I thought he did. I thought he said we want you to come home. We miss you or something like that.
Yeah, but
so,
you're
like,
right.
I was wondering why.
You're right though, because he kills a few people and doesn't seem to like. I thought, because I originally thought, once Anakin killed Mace Windu, all of a sudden, boom, he's like under the Emperor's
Well, he never
thumb.
killed Mace Windu.
Well, after he chopped his hand off, he's like, all of a sudden, boom, he's under the Emperor's thumb. Boom, like right then and there. But this seems like, no, you can kill as many people as you want, but it's like at some point it has to be something emotional,
Well, the light. I mean, that's what he keeps. That's what he kept saying. Like he was afraid of. He says it to Darth Vader's helmet.
Yeah,
and then
I keep getting pulled into the light.
Yeah, and then Rey says it to Kylo Ren. When he's interrogating her. So there's that internal conflict with him where it's almost the polar opposite for Vader, actually, which is kind of weird. And like I was thinking about this, like if you idolize Vader so much, you can't. Like, did Luke not tell him that he actually turned back to the light side? Like, did he leave that part out? Like,
yeah, that's true.
So like it doesn't make sense. Like you're idolizing your grandfather, but at the same time, like you're idolizing the thing that he ended up not wanting to be.
Yeah, he had good in him too. I mean, his son felt it. He said that. He's like, I feel it, even if it's just a little smidget. And he's like,
Leia felt it too. Leia says the same thing about Ren.
Yeah. Oh my God, I just remembered Obi-Wan, when Vader goes, Obi-Wan once thought as you did. Did they ever clear that up in the prequels? Fuck, I don't know. We're gonna have to we'll have to do a whole segment on the prequels.
I think he says it in Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
Right before they start their acrobatic lightsaber fight.
I think it's Padme that says that. Yeah, there's good in you. We need to blah blah blah. But I don't know. I don't know. Those movies. I mean, they screwed a lot of the stuff that the original trilogy set up, and then when they went back, they didn't. Never saw Anakin as really a good pilot. Never saw him kick ass as a Jedi. Really,
I never saw that. They were like best friends.
Yeah, that's the biggest one. They were more like father and son, or brothers, or they didn't know what the fuck they were.
They weren't really brothers either.
Yeah, Lucas didn't know what the fuck they were. But anyway, so Han dies. That's the big deal. And what's his name? Ren gets shot by Wookiee, and the Wookiee does the fucking.
Well, let's back up a little bit. The second that the saber goes through Han's back,
mm-hmm.
I like gasped and like elbowed my friend. And then the second that happened, you see Chewie let out this god awful Wookiee scream.
Oh, yeah, right.
And I was like, oh my god, that's fucking like awesome and sad at the same time.
Yeah, it was horrible. It was horrible.
When he lets out that scream, I was like, oh my god, this is awesome.
Yeah. And then he does the by Rathgar's hammer, I will avenge the.
Yeah, basically,
crazy.
He goes ape shit, and like, and I'm like, I'm wondering, like, you know, because in these type of movies, it's always the main character, the main Jedi fighting the main, you know, Sith Lord or whatever, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering if anybody's going to satisfy Chewie's bloodlust to fucking kill Kylo Ren.
I think if anyone is going to, I don't know. Like, I think if anyone wants to kill him the most, it's definitely Chewie at this point. But
right.
We'll have to see, because he's got something has to happen where we're going to root for Chewie. Chewie's got to have his moment. They had way more Chewie moments in this thing than they did in almost all the movies combined. I really love what they did with Chewie. I'm just like, he's not a little guy that didn't get a medal. He's a fucking badass.
Yeah, definitely.
And I love that when, Finn looks up at Han and goes, you can understand that thing? And he's like, yeah, I can understand that thing.
Yeah.
But, he lets out that roar. He just goes Wookiee rage on everybody, fucking berserker mode, blows everybody away. And then,
he ends up evening the fight by shooting Ren.
Yeah, he shoots him right in the gut, like, and throws him back. But he also has that really cool scene where he runs out and he flicks the detonator. I was like, man, they gave Chewie a lot of shit to do. I loved it. I fucking loved it. But he hits the detonator and everything blows up, and isn't that where Poe?
Yeah, then they have to throw back the original Death Star and that Chen before he flies into the exhaust thing there, whatever that thing is called.
Yeah. So did you said earlier that they barely sent any troops out there to
there was
that thing?
Like, so the Star Killer base is like, they show it's like 10 times bigger.
Right.
And they send in like resistance, like, because here was my thinking, right? The resistance is this like basically, non-section sanctioned like army for the Republic that the Republic allows to happen, like almost like Navy SEALs, right? Like the small amount of people who go out there and like do the things that people don't want done or don't want to talk about, like terrorists or shit like that.
Right.
The First Order is basically a derivative of the Empire, right? So clearly they built this fucking gigantic, base that is 10 times larger than the Death Star.
Like 100. You see the hologram or they popped up? It's like shit. So
the two problems I have with this homage to A New Hope and part of Return of the Jedi is when the Empire and the original trilogy falls in this manner too. They explain it in A New Hope that like they don't expect a small band of X-Wings to try and actually take this fucking giant base down, because it makes no sense. Like, if anything, they expect like a giant armada to come after this thing, right? Not like 10 X-Wing to go after it, right?
Right.
So in this version, or in this movie, the Resistance isn't a small band of secret rebels trying to fight against the Empire, right?
Yeah, they're well known.
Right. They're run by the hero of, the rebellion, who has direct ties to the Republic, the New Republic, because Mon Mothma is actually the Chancellor. So they have this small base, and it's like, wait a minute, how come you guys have the same amount of fucking X-Wings as you did 30 years ago, and you're going after a base that's 10 times larger, and it's not like in the way that they attack the Starkiller base is you're actually not actually trying to, blast your torpedoes down like a, what is it, 2 millimeters or 2 meters?
Right, 2 meters.
Why?
Wide.
It's not, you're not trying to do something like very precise and small like that. The thing you're trying to blow up is fucking massive. And you only send 12 X-Wing to it, where basically when you actually see that fight happen and the X-Wing shoot the torpedoes to that, again, I can't remember what it was called, but it was fucking huge.
Yeah.
So basically, it was like throwing pebbles at that fucking thing, and it's like, okay, well, you mean where's the X-Wings are supposed to be for dogfighting? Where the fuck are the Y bombers? Because that's what the Y-wings are. They're bombers.
Yeah. They could have dropped some bombs on that little. Wasn't it like a cap or it was something like that? They were trying to blow up. Inside of it. Yeah,
but they weren't trying to fly inside of it. They just happened to do that because Han was like, "Well, we can't leave. We've got to fucking help these guys."
Yeah, we have to blow
because they would have failed miserably because they couldn't blow it up. X-wing because they couldn't fire enough torpedoes to blow that thing up.
I know. So, one of the guys is like, "Half our fleet is gone." That little ugly.
And it's like, no, they only blew up 3. If they blow up 3 and you say half your fleet is gone, clearly you did not send enough people.
You didn't send bombers. You
didn't send where's the you didn't send where's your carrier? Where's the equivalent of the carrier to send to blow this thing up? Like that was the part that I had a problem with. I'm like, I get it. Like it's kind of like
there's
Jedi.
A lot of problems. A lot of problems. One of the biggest ones is why the fuck did they let this thing get built in the first place? And number 2, why? I mean, I understand Finn said, "Hey, I work in sanitation," but how did he know? Like, why don't these fucking people keep the information to the base tight-lipped amongst a few people? Why does a bunch of people know?
Finn didn't know where the shield was. He didn't
know where the shield was, but how did they? Like, why couldn't they have that thing heavily guarded on a different part of the planet or something? Like, there's really no like blaster towers to protect it. Yeah, I mean they had some towers shooting and whatnot, but it wasn't anything crazy like the trench. The trench, the Death Star was like breathtaking. That was just like a fucking awesome, amazing sequence. But in this movie, it's like they just rushed it. They're like, okay, we need to get in there, blow it up, and get out of here, blow the whole fucking planet up, and away we go. And then I thought to myself, well, the Empire was so vast; they were on every planet. I don't remember the First Order being on every planet.
They weren't.
Yeah, so they were all on one fucking planet. It blew up. So now what are they going to? Where are they going to go with this? They're going to go out and recruit?
Wherever Snoke is, I guess that's their home base.
Okay, so I mean, did a bunch of First Order got off?
Oh wait, so that's my other problem with the movie. That's my other problem with this battle. So the Resistance side, they only sent 12 X-Wing to try to blow up this massive like facility. It would be like trying to take, I don't know, like whatever the equivalent is, because that thing was fucking huge. Mm-hmm. It's like, basically taking like a helicopter with a Gatling gun and trying to destroy Yankee Stadium. Like, it would take you fucking forever.
Right.
So anyway, so the other side of that is the Starkiller base is a base. It is 10 times bigger or 50 times bigger than the Death Star. Whatever it is, it's just fucking huge, right? How come there's only 20 TIE fighters fighting these 12? The X-Wing by far are outnumbered, right? But they're not outnumbered where they're outnumbered like 20 to 1, which on a planet or a base that fucking big, you would think you could outnumber X-Wings that, let's just say they get 20 there. You should still have more than 20 fucking TIE fighters.
It's not just that. It's not just that. You saw how many people they had on their base. You saw like that Hitler scene where he's talking to the New Order and all that. They could have been on the ground shooting up in the air and they would have blown a bunch of fucking X-Wings out of the sky. There's just so many people. Like, it just doesn't make any kind of sense. Like, Han and these couple of people fly through the hyperspace, fly through there, they sneak in undetected and then, and blow the fucking thing up. It just seems so like, Like they had to have that in order to run into Ren and have that whole scene. Like I understand that. I understand that, you know, it was kind of weird how they had to have do the whole blow up Star Killer base or whatever. I mean, obviously they're trying to like mimic A New Hope and whatnot, and you know, and Return of the Jedi. You know, the second Death Star. I remember going, holy shit, like a second Death Star. So
at least it made more sense in the second Death Star because you have a gaping fucking hole in it. Like it's not completed.
Well, it made sense that they would build multiple ones, I guess. I mean, like one was built on top of the other, you know, simultaneously or something.
But if you were the First Order, you think you would be like, okay, well.
Hey, do you remember the first two Death Stars? Yeah. Let's not do that again. Let's fortify.
And if we do that again, let's make sure we have enough TIE fighters to protect it.
Yeah.
And not put the shield generator on a remote planet.
Let's have some security inside the shield generator. That would be a good idea.
Or wherever there's a weakness in the base, let's not expose it. Let's put it somewhere behind closed doors.
There's one more thing that bothered me about the base, and then we can move on from that. But they run into Captain Phasma, and they grabbed her. And
right.
Finn's like, I'm in control now, Phasma, which I love that. That was kind of funny.
Yeah.
And then they go into the thing, and he's like, points a gun on her head and says, undo the shields. And she just does it. She just goes, she just like powers it down.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking to myself, no, that wouldn't happen. It's bullshit. Because, okay, let's say Finn shoots her in the head and kills her. Then what are they going to do? They can't put the shields down. So it's like, it's this weird, like, I don't know. Like, I just thought it was too easy to get the shields down. I loved in A New Hope when Obi-Wan had to say, you know, hey, you guys go that way or stay here. I'm going to go shut the shield generators down. And there was that whole scene where he did that whole thing.
It was actually
Tractor beam. I love that. Okay. So why couldn't they do something similar with that, where they had to go through this whole rigmarole to get the shield down? Instead, they just grab the bitch and they're like, shut it down. And she's like, okay, you're not going to get away with this. You're going to die. You know, I'm just like, all right, well, that's dumb. And then what did they say? Like, let's throw her down the trash chute or something like that.
Yeah, that was basically
I wonder if they said
homage to A New Hope.
Right. Now, I guess she comes back. They said that pretty much the whole cast minus Harrison Ford is back for the next one. So I don't know how the fuck she survived. I don't know how Ren survived. I don't know how any of these people survive when that planet starts, you know.
Yeah, because Hux is so far away from Ren when Snoke tells him to go get him.
Yeah. And, well, you know, we'll get to that in a second. But, okay, so Chewie blows it up. Rey and Finn run out into the snow, right?
Right.
Like they run out into the snow, and as they're running, I don't know how Ren caught up to them. That was like he's like injured, he's fucked up, and like he pulls a Freddy, what do you call it? A Jason, you know, where you're running through the forest as fast as you can, and Jason's like lumbering. All of a sudden, boom, he's in front of you, and you're like, what the fuck, you know?
Yeah. Maybe he force ran from like the Phantom Menace, what you never see again.
Yeah, what you never see again. But he pops up. What I thought was really cool about that scene is he kept smacking his wound. He kept like hitting it. Yeah. What was that all about? Was that like some weird like tactic, like trying to keep awake or trying to?
No, I thought it reminded me of like I can't remember the villain, but it reminded me of villain from a movie where they were injured and like the pain like gave him this like adrenaline rush.
Drove him.
Like it, and like so, I was thinking like the pain, you know, gave him like extra oomph in the dark side to use that for more power or more energy or something like that. That's why I thought he kept punching. It was like, and it was almost like it also reminded me of the Da Vinci Code, where the pale monk kept like torturing himself, like repenting, but like he thought it would bring him closer to God, you know. Mm-hmm. So I was like thinking, like every time he punched his wound, it was bringing him closer to the dark side.
Okay,
for some reason or something like that. So that There's probably multiple layers to that, but
I kind of thought it was an adrenaline thing, or like, come on, Ren, like, come on, like, focus.
Yeah, exactly.
Or something
Yeah.
like that. Which I thought was interesting to his character. I mean, that Ren is such an interesting character, really complex.
Yeah,
I like that.
I mean, the first initial reaction I got, like when the movie was over, was that, wow, he's a really whiny bitch. And then I look back on, the two trilogies, and I'm like, you know what? Luke was more bitchy and whiny, and Anakin was even whiny and bitchy when he became Darth Vader.
Right.
Even when he gives that speech to Obi-Wan on Mustafar before they start fighting, I'm like, you're still whining. It I can't take you seriously.
It feels like to me, JJ took that and say, well, what if Darth Vader became Darth Vader before he got older? Like, what if, you know what I mean? Like this is the Darth Vader we should have had in the prequels, kind of thing.
Like actually show the difficult turn, help show how much harder it is to actually turn to the dark side than just being like, okay,
flip a switch. Yeah, exactly. I love his character. I love every character. I didn't have a problem with anybody, except for the look of Snoke. But other than that, I loved every new character that they brought.
But even then, that's just the artists creating Snoke.
Right.
That had nothing to do with his performance as Snoke.
No, not at all.
It sounds creepy, so he does his job like always.
Yeah.
And that guy, the fact that guy is not given some kind of award for anything that he's done.
It's a travesty.
Yeah, fucking Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Like, how the fuck do you not give? That movie is just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's so
anyway,
good.
but the fight happens, or is about to happen, and then he force pushes Rey
up into the tree.
10 feet up a tree, and somehow doesn't break any limbs when she falls, but whatever.
No, and doesn't kill her. Hits her head real hard, doesn't kill her, but...
Yeah, and then, Finn gets pissed off, ignites the lightsaber for the second time, and basically is like, bring it, bitch, come get it.
Well, he says to him, hey, that's mine.
Yeah.
Or that belongs to me. And he's like, come get it, which is great.
Yeah.
And the battle, okay, so we got to talk battles. I remember in the original trilogy, the battle seemed a little slow. Empire's battle was great because...
Are you talking about the lightsaber fights?
The lightsaber fight, like in A New Hope, really slow. Kind of like two old men fighting or whatever. And then the second movie, Empire, Vader
a little bit faster.
A little bit faster, but then there was that, like, when they got on the catwalk, they went furious. Like, he went after Luke like crazy. He's like, okay,
basically trying to end the fight there.
Yeah, he's like, okay, enough of this shit, we're done. And just goes at him. It's crazy. And then in the third one, it's kind of, the battle's kind of cool. Luke is kind of lackadaisical or whatever. And
Luke basically loses it and almost turns to the dark side.
Yeah, he does lose it in the end when Vader taunts him.
Like, that's the best. There's a lot of bad parts in that fight. If you watch it again, Vader just completely takes a dive at the end.
Yeah, basically.
That's just bad choreography. But the scene when he's like, "If you won't turn to the dark side, then perhaps she will," and he yells out "No," and he fucking ignites the lightsaber and just goes after him.
Does he yell out "No" or does he yell out "Darth"? I can't remember. I thought he yelled out
Somebody
Darth.
said Vader. And I always thought he said "No." I thought he said "never" or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
But the scene just kicks ass. So there's a lot of emotion in that scene too. Even though Vader takes a dive at the end of that lightsaber fight, the part that I love the most, besides the part where he says whatever he says underneath those stairs, is the part where he just goes ape shit on Vader's lightsaber.
Yeah,
and
whacking
down on it, and then he hits it up, and then he cuts his hand off. That scene, there was so much more emotion in those 7 swipes that he's trying to fucking hack at Vader than in the entire Revenge of the Sith fight.
Yeah, the entire prequel. The
Obi-Wan and Darth Maul was pretty good.
Yeah, it was too short. His fight with him was too short, and it was way too choreographed before he got there. Once Obi-Wan fought him by himself, it became a really cool fight.
Right.
But I can't think of anything, in the subsequent movies, like Revenge of the Sith one was just so fucking choreographed. I know that some people that grew up at the prequels were like, oh my God, that was so amazing. But, any real fan will look at that and go, well, God, I don't really see Just didn't really seem like any kind of emotion to it all.
Right.
I mean, it just looks like Anakin is a dick, and Obi-Wan's got to take care of him. It doesn't show any emotion until he's just like, "We were brothers," and starts yelling.
Yeah, that's only because Ewan McGregor is a really good actor.
Yeah, and I love Ewan McGregor, and he even poo-poos the prequels. Man, he doesn't like them. Poor guy. Yeah, he knows they were shit.
As good as Ewan McGregor is in basically anything that he does, there's some deliveries in Revenge of the Sith that are just fucking horrible.
Yeah, he
like,
phones,
and it's like,
man.
and
that's shit.
And that's the director's fault, because like, how could you actually say, okay, we got it? Like when he turns around and says to Palpatine, like, you know, Sith Lords are our speciality, and I'm like, oh my god, that's fucking terrible.
He's a storyteller. I have to give it to George. I mean, honestly, he created all this shit. Without him, none of this shit would happen. So like, I love that.
Right.
But he is not a good director. He's a good storyteller. He's good at putting together, a really cool story. But once he starts directing and starts, he's not an actor's director. He's not. And saying every 5 seconds more fast and more intense does not fucking, constitute as a director. It's not. Yeah. I mean, dude, I don't know if you've ever seen Creed yet. That movie should not exist. That fucking movie should not exist. They've made 50,000 Rocky movies, and they found a fucking way to make it fresh and awesome all over again. It's crazy. So with the right director, they're gonna make something. They're gonna make dialogue that.
Well, I mean, you got Natalie Portman in the prequels who won a fucking Oscar. But then you watch her in the prequels.
Awesome.
Watch her in the she was an up and coming actress before the movies.
Yes, if you
and
watch,
then she kind of took a dive.
Beautiful Girls, and you watch Leon the Professional. Oh my God, and then she's awesome.
And then she takes a dive in the prequels, and like she has some really god awful deliveries in that movie.
Yeah. Well, the third
one's all based on the director, Yeah. And then she wins an Oscar like 5 or 6 years later, and it's like, okay, well, how did she win an Oscar? Well, it's the director.
They didn't utilize her talents.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you had Ewan McGregor, one of the most underrated actors, and then you had an Oscar winner right there.
Yeah. Well, Liam Neeson. The biggest problem is having a kid in your fucking movie. It's nobody gives a shit. Unfortunately, nobody cares. We can go on and on. We'll have to do one on just the.
Yeah, one of the worst lines in the prequels is when Obi-Wan sits down with Padme, and he's like, it's supposed to be like this thing, like a "I got you" type thing. When Obi-Wan is like, Anakin the father, isn't he? And it's like, who fucking else did you think was the father?
Yeah, you're just. Why are you saying that now? You knew that 6 months ago.
Yeah, I mean, you found her porn tape, Obi-Wan. Like, what the fuck?
Who else is she fucking? Who are you fucking?
Yeah,
I know it's Anakin. So it doesn't take the Force to figure that one out.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, I smelled you out of the other day.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway,
oh fuck, where are we?
The fight. Okay, so what I loved about the fight is that obviously it just looked like they said, "Here, you take this stick, you take this stick. Just start whacking at each other." It looked like it was just, down and dirty. It wasn't like choreographed. That's what I loved about it. It was just like, oh fuck, we got lightsabers and we're, swinging at each other. They're cutting trees down. They're just swinging and shit. And Finn obviously is not a aficionado with the lightsaber, and quite honestly, it doesn't really look like Ren is either. It looks like he knows enough to be dangerous.
After the second viewing, it looks like it looked like kind of Kylo was kind of toying with him a little bit.
Oh yeah, because he could have killed him really quick right in the beginning. Right. But
it isn't until like Finn cuts him a little bit where he's like, fuck this.
Yeah, I'm done with that.
And then he just ends it like 5 seconds later.
Yeah, I like that. I dig that shit, man. I dig that. He could have killed him at any time. He just like went out. But and then the coolest part in the movie,
one of the fucking part that still gave me goosebumps, bigger goosebumps the second time around.
Yeah.
When Luke's lightsaber is just peeking out of the snow,
just like an
Empire,
baby.
just like an Empire Strikes Back.
Mm-hmm.
And Ren goes after it, and then it's force pushed past him, and Rey like fucking takes her place in the Star Wars universe, and ignites the lightsaber, and fucking goosebumps up and down. Like,
you see Ren's fucking face, dude, when it flew by him, and he just stood there. He's like, "Oh shit!" You know, like, what? Yeah, and even she, like, even as confident, she wasn't all confident.
She looked a little scared at that point.
She looked scared. She's just like, "Oh my god, what did I just? That's fucking crazy. I got this thing." And then they go at it, and she's running away from him half the time, and jumping, and and somersaulting, and fighting him, and all that shit.
Yeah.
And then the planet starts falling apart, and there's like a cliff, and he has her up against that cliff. And the cross guard, you finally understand what the cross guard's fucking for, because she, like, I think they hit one another, and then the lightsaber kind of slides down, doesn't it? And it's just kind of there, and she's like,
no, what ends up happening, well, the only way the cross guard actually is shown in this is,
he burns Finn's shoulder with it.
Yeah, with it, which is kind of like, that's not really possible for a cross guard or whatever, but
yeah, it was kind of cool.
It never came to fruition why the cross guard is useful.
So when they swung the lightsabers, they just like matched, right? They just like crossed, and he's like pushing on her.
Yeah, it never
hits the cross guard. Okay,
because the cross guard has a little piece of metal that comes out, which basically the lightsaber would kind of cut through that metal piece and kind of disable the cross guard.
Yeah, I guess the cross guard's for, like, in knights, like, it's not to get your fingers chopped off, right? When someone slides the knife down.
Yeah, basically, I guess.
So, well, anyway, like, I don't know. It'd be kind of interesting to find out why they kind of went that route with that. Because I thought, that would just make yourself get chopped. If you swung the lightsaber a certain way, it would chop you or cut you.
Yeah, cut your wrist or something.
But, like, so he has her dead to rights. He has her over that cliff, and he's just pressing on her.
And then he pulls the Vader line that is repeated in all the movies when it comes to somebody on the dark side trying to turn somebody from the light side is, you need a teacher, except he doesn't say it as smooth. Mm-hmm. He says it the way that I would picture Ben Solo saying it, the way that his character had developed. He's like, you need a teacher. He's like,
that was cool, dude. Dude, that was cool. Like, he didn't take her. He saw potential. Like, holy shit. Like, I need to draw this person into my world. Like,
right.
I don't want to take this person out just yet, And so it gave her time to kind of like he wasn't going to kill her yet. But
well, he says the Force, and then that is the light bulb where she closes her eyes. And they didn't do a good job of actually slowing the film down enough. Yeah. Because that whole section is slow-mo. Because if it was like in real time, you're like, well, what the fuck are you waiting for? Her eyes are closed. Cut her head off.
Right.
So, because if you watch it again, like if you catch that scene, the whole scene is like in slow motion.
You can see the snow falling slower, and they're kind of standing there.
So then you get the awesome John Williams Force music in the background, and then she opens her eyes, and then it's over then.
I loved it, dude. I loved it. I loved every bit of that.
Yeah, for me, that was my biggest takeaway. Like, that was the thing that I could not stop talking about after the movie was over.
It was great.
Because, having girls, I was like, I can't believe they're going to grow up in a world in Star Wars where the most powerful person in the galaxy is going to be a girl or a woman.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so I could not, because, it's hard for me to keep finding and pushing boy things on where it's like, no, it's not for boys. You can be whatever you want. You don't, even though this is technically a boys thing, you can love it too. Now I don't have to say boy things, and when I give her a lightsaber, I'm like, no, this is actually not a boy's lightsaber.
Right.
This is a girl's lightsaber, and you can hold it proudly. So yeah, that and I remember Kathleen Kennedy's words in the panel that we went to, where it was, I think it was JJ's panel, and they asked her a question about women, and she had that gleam in her eye, knowing fucking full well that the most powerful person in the galaxy was going to be a female, because she said in the panel that just wait. She's like, I forget exactly what she said because we could probably look it up online, but she said something like, just wait, be patient. We do the women justice in Star Wars.
Right.
Forward.
Well,
and she fucking had that underneath her breath. Like, wait till you see the fucking women ignite a lightsaber and fight and fucking beat the shit out of the boys.
Right.
So,
yeah, she scared him to death. She went at him, and
she beat him pretty quickly.
It was awesome. Oh my gosh, It was awesome. It was great. Like, he looked like he didn't know what the fuck hit him. He was like, what?
There's this great scene. There's this great scene, this great cut where I think it's when they're both holding the lightsabers at towards the real end of the fight, and it's this angry, defeated look on Kylo Ren's face. It's really quick, and it's really awesome.
Oh, when she's pushing his arm into the sand,
where he has no idea what is going on, and he's afraid and angry and confused, all in the same look.
Yeah,
it's perfect. Because
she slices him a couple times. And he falls back. Yeah, he falls back. He's like, "What the fuck is going on?"
And then he does this, and then she does this fucking awesome slice where she slices up and cuts his uniform basically off and slices his face.
Yeah,
right up to. And I don't know if that's an homage to Anakin Skywalker, because Anakin had that scar in his right eye.
Mm-hmm.
But his scar is bigger because it comes from his chin all the way up to his forehead.
Well, now it makes more sense to wear that fucking mask now.
Right.
He's like, I look ugly now. I'm an ugly bitch now. Yeah, and then he pulls a JJ and has the planet pull apart, so they didn't get to finish each other off. Or he doesn't get to finish them off. So.
And then it's and then Snoke is like, it's time to finish, Kylo Ren's training.
Which that kind of, it kind of gave me goosebumps a little bit. I was like, all right.
Well, I immediately thought to the future of what Rey is going to, you're going to see Kylo Ren training, and then you're going to see Rey training.
Right. You're going to see
the Rocky movie.
Yeah. Rocky and Dolph
Rocky and or Russian. Rocky and Apollo Creed training.
Rocky.
You're going to see that shit.
Yeah.
So anyway, so they get off the planet. Everybody, they win. She embraces Leia when she gets back.
Okay. Right after that, you see. Oh, we forgot earlier to mention that BB-8 rolls up to R2 and pulls the sheet off of him.
Right.
And then C-3PO's like, "Oh, don't bother talking to him because he's in low power mode ever since Yeah,
Luke disappeared.
Which I found that kind of interesting. I remember in Return of the Jedi, he gave him basically, the lightsaber, and probably told him information that C-3PO didn't even know, because C-3PO had no fucking clue what was going on. But R2 just seemed confident. He's just like, whatever. I'm working on
He's on Jedi, right?
Yeah, I'm talking about Jedi.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know he knows what's coming up. So it didn't really surprise me when in this movie he's in low power mode, waiting for Luke to kind of give him the
when R2 powered up after the battle was over. I was like, okay, is Luke about to walk in out of nowhere?
I kind of half expected Luke to just show up somewhere, even on Starkiller.
I thought that was the payoff when C-3PO was saying ever since Luke disappeared, R2 shut down and is in low power mode. And then when I saw R2's light about to turn on, I was like waiting for either him to walk out from the stairs from beyond R2 or land a ship, because I thought that was going to be the payoff.
Right.
I was like, okay, here comes Luke. And then that never happened. They actually showed the map.
Right. Which, oh, okay, the map. There was something I was going to add or ask. The Empire, or the Ren wants the map. The First Order wants the rest of the map, because he says, and I remember
he wants BB-8's section of the map.
Right. He says he has the rest that he got through Empire records. I was like, what?
So the backstory to that is that, and this leads back to what I was speculating about, that the First Order wants Luke dead, but Kylo Ren wants the map to the Jedi Temple.
Okay, I understand that. How did they get that? How did they get the map in the first place?
Who get the map? Kylo Ren or the Empire?
Yeah, Ren has the entire map except for the piece that he needs from BB-8.
Right.
And obviously the Resistance were like, well, we don't have any of the map except for the piece that BB-8 has. And then they find out that R2 has the rest when he powers up. But how did the Empire get the map to begin with? The big piece of the map.
Oh, so my guessing or my speculation from reading what I read or whatever is that, and then what I was also thinking when he said that during the movie was basically like the Empire had been searching for the first Jedi Temple for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And when the second Death Star blows up, the Empire doesn't fall then and there. The Empire is still all over the place. So my guess is that because they had been working to find this stuff that was sitting in the Empire archives, that they were, it was basically, like, to me, again, you know, referencing Hitler like you did before, because that's basically what it looked like, that scene on Starkiller Base, that the Empire was basically doing the same thing as Hitler was doing,
mm-hmm.
finding religious artifacts,
mm-hmm.
and basically the Empire, and this is their religious artifact, was trying to find the first temple.
Okay. So
that to me was like, it didn't need to be explained, because I just assumed like that's what was happening. Like when he says like he got it from the Empire, I was like, oh, he just probably found it in the Empire archives.
Well, he found the map, but he had a missing piece in the map. That's why I was really confused. Like, I get that the Resistance is trying to find Luke, and they have a piece of the clue that they find from Max Sundow or whatever his name is, and that they still need the bigger piece. And that's when R2 goes, oh, I have the bigger piece. But the Empire, or First Order, whatever you want to call them, have that same piece too as R2 has, and they need BB-8's piece. So I'm trying to figure out where the fuck did they get the big piece? And
wait, you're talking about R2? How R2 got it done?
No, R2 has it. Obviously.
Oh, so what I'm thinking is like the Empire put it together. Like they were just scouring the galaxy to try to find out where it was.
Okay, because at the very beginning, Ren goes, "We have the map from the records, Empire records, except for this little piece, and we know you have it." Blah blah blah. So I was trying to figure out where the hell they got that. Where the hell, like, did Luke pull a piece of the map out of the Empire records and steal, take it somewhere?
Well, so they have using like the Nazis and Hitler. It's kind of like Raiders of the Lost Ark, right? Like the Nazis have the book to get to the Ark. They just don't know how to decipher the Ark.
Okay.
Or how to get to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the same thing also in the Last Crusade. Like they have Sean Connery's, or Indiana
book,
Senior has the book, but they don't know how to get to it, or they don't know how to decipher what's going on. And basically, that's what I gathered from this, is that the Empire had collected all these pieces of the puzzle, and they're just missing the last piece of the puzzle. So that's what I got from just watching the movie and him saying that, was that they had been collecting this for a really long time. Once the Empire fell, Kylo Ren found it, and there was one missing piece, and it just so happened to be on Jakku.
Yeah, because when BB-8 puts the piece up earlier in the film, C-3PO goes, "This is not any known, area in the galaxy. We have no idea where this is."
Right.
And then when they get the big piece, which I thought was kind of cool, having R2 shove his thing up there, and then BB-8 do his thing, and so they're like working together to build the whole thing.
Right.
And then the other thing that kind of baffled me was, why didn't Leia accompany, Rey to the temple? Wouldn't she want to see her brother? Or she just kind of sent Rey and Chewie and Finn, right?
They didn't even send Finn. Finn was still passed out from the imagery.
So it was just, that's right. So it was just Rey and Chewie.
Ray, Chewie, and BB-8.
And BB-8. Well, so Poe said, "Here, take my robot. It's okay."
Yeah,
my best friend. Take my best friend away.
instead of taking R2, who really wants to see you, let's take this brand
right?
robot that Luke has no idea
who
that is. But then again, if there's another prequel, maybe Luke had built him at some point in time and then completely forgot that he built him.
That's right. And the robot had its memory wiped.
Yeah, but not the older version of themselves, like Obi-Wan not remembering owning a droid that fucking saved your ass like 50 times in the fucking two, 3 movies.
So I wonder, like, I'm also wondering how long has Luke been away? Like, how old is Kylo Ren? How old is Rey?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, it seems to me maybe he's only been away like 10 years, not 30.
Well, I guess it depends on the bigger mystery. The ending mystery is Rey, Luke Skywalker's daughter. So I was thinking it was, and then I thought, for me, I got confirmation, but not, because I could be wrong. But I thought I got confirmation in Luke when he started crying when he saw that Rey had his lightsaber. Because to me, that wasn't a look of like, for an
Where'd you get that? Yeah.
Yeah, like it wasn't a look like, oh my God, you're bringing a tragic thing that happened to me.
Yeah.
It was a look like I've been waiting for you.
Right. That's what I gathered too.
So I was like, okay, so is that your daughter? Like, because I was thinking that beforehand, and now that you're crying like that,
go back to
is that your daughter?
Not just that, but go back to the second trailer where Luke's voiceover.
Right.
Remember? Right,
yeah.
So that's a total family heritage kind of thing.
Yes.
Well,
no, he could be saying that those words could have been uttered to Kylo Ren before he becomes Kylo Ren, technically.
I don't know, I guess. But Luke said that to Leia, so I just assumed he's saying it to his daughter. You're part of the family. Hey,
so is Ben Solo. So you don't know who he's saying that to.
Yeah. I know he recorded that voiceover just for the trailer, but
no, I know, but it has specific meaning to it, obviously, for knowing what's going to happen. But you don't know if that was something that was for Kylo Ren or Ben Solo or for Rey. Like you have no idea.
Yeah.
Like everybody has a last name except for Rey and Finn, but the only reason why Finn doesn't have a last name is because there's just a bunch of numbers.
Right.
So,
and Rey might not remember because she's too little when she was
right.
left on Jakku.
That's the big mystery too. So,
maybe
that's the movie.
Maybe she was conceived without a father, just like Anakin.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. I got past that part the other day.
He's just like, you were born, like I had anal sex with your mom and you were born. I have no clue how this happened, but
my midi-chlorians busted through your small intestine into your fallopian tubes.
Right.
My force-powered midi-chlorian sperm went through your small intestine and impregnated you. That's how it works.
Yeah. Well,
maybe Shmi Skywalker thinks that it was like a miracle birth, but in all reality, she was like a stupid teen who believed in the pull-out method.
Right.
And was like, nope, I didn't have, I wasn't.
Well, she might be weak-minded. The Jedi could have went up to her and said, have sex with me, and she's like, okay, and then.
It could be Darth Plagueis.
Yeah. Yeah. Which again, still makes at the cantina. He's just there having a beer and he sees
He's like, hey.
He's like, hey.
Would you like some blue milk? No, I did not spike this blue milk.
He pulled a Bill Cosby. And was
there's no roofies in this blue milk.
Yeah. Right. Oh, that's terrible. Yeah. That's terrible. But, so the movie ends with her climbing up the stairs and that Luke's at the end of it and seeing him in that cloak and
a different colored cloak.
Super cool. And he had like a different robotic hand, which.
Yeah, longer hair too. Definitely longer hair than what you saw in that leaked photo.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, dude, he kind of looked like a vagrant, man. He kind of looks like he's been living on the streets.
Oh.
No, in the movie, he looked like he was been living on the streets, and he looks crazy. He looks like the Unabomber guy. No, he did. He looked like the Unabomber guy.
Yeah, now we just have to wait a year and a half and find out, actually hear Luke speak.
Yes, and he's, going to probably be training Ray. I wonder if he's going to do the whole Yoda thing and be like, "You're too old. I can't train you." Who knows? I'm just like, oh my God, where are they going to go from here? Where do they go? It's crazy.
Well, there's a lot of things in the movie that are just coincidence shit that are never going to be answered. And then there's other things that are really important that are going to be answered, like Snoke, like who Rey is, and, how does Kylo Ren complete his training, like shit like little things like that.
Well, those are big things. The little thing, it's funny because as fans, I have all these questions about little tiny stupid things, the fact of where did they get the lightsaber? How did Lupita come? How did Maz come? Get that?
Yeah. I mean, was somebody working on Bespin?
She shrugs it off. She's like, "Oh, I'll tell that story another time. I hope it gets told." I'm just like, I want to know.
Yeah, I want to know how the fuck you got it from Bespin. And it better not be some passing by stupid explanation like how the Millennium Falcon ended up on Jakku.
Right.
Don't tell me it got fucking stolen from somebody or lost in bed or some shit like that. I mean, this is a fucking lightsaber.
Yeah.
Because even in Luke's time, you don't see lightsabers, so that would have been a hot commodity.
I want to know who this Duquesne person is. Someone was telling me or maybe I was reading somewhere about how Rebels is canon. Rebels cartoon series is canon, and there's some things,
it is.
There's some things in the movie that refers to Rebels, but I don't know. I've only watched the first season of Rebels, so I couldn't tell you what was referenced.
Speaking of which, there was only one reference to the prequels in the movie.
I don't know that. I don't know that show very well. Oh yeah, what was the reference again?
It was Kylo Ren saying we should use a clone army.
Yeah, that's
because if you remember in the original trilogy, they mention the Clone Wars, even though the word clone is in the Clone Wars when Leia says it for Obi-Wan.
Mm-hmm.
You never actually hear that it's actually about clones, and ever.
Do you remember when that line was uttered? Do you remember going, "Oh shit, I want to know what that's like"?
Yeah, I did. Because I wanted to see what it was like for a Jedi.
It was disappointing.
Yeah, I mean
we're fighting robots. That's what we're doing is fighting fucking robots.
So yeah, so anyway, so the original trilogy, when the Clone Wars is mentioned, they don't mention that it's actually clones in the war. You're thinking, okay, what could that possibly mean?
Right.
So, and then you get the prequels, and then you find out it's called the Clone Wars because the army is a bunch of clones. So,
which honestly, I don't think he.
But that was.
I don't even think he knew what the Clone Wars was.
No, he didn't. But again, the prequels are canon, so the original trilogy doesn't mention the fact that it's an actual clone army. It never mentions it.
No.
Prequels is the one that gives you the clone army. And when Ren says, we should be using a clone army, that is the only reference back to the prequels.
Right.
Which I thought was kind of cool, because it's probably the only thing that kind of works, maybe.
Right. Well, they can't talk about Jar Jar and Gungans.
Or midichlorians, so.
Right.
It was the only reference back to the prequels that I picked up.
Yeah, I think.
Oh, did you pick up the first line? Did you think it was a dig at the prequels?
Yes, and I even it's funny you mention that because just today, or was it yesterday, I was reading something about the first few lines uttered in the movie, and they were talking about how that was quite possibly a dig to the prequels, and I was like, oh my God, I totally thought that when he said that. I was like, oh my gosh, that's a total dig, but who knows? They don't know. They'd have to flat out ask him. I'm sure there's a lot of questions we'd love to ask JJ right now. Oh, dude, when you said that, was that because of this? There's all sorts.
He would never answer the dig at the prequels question. He would never answer that.
No, he would never. He would never bite the hands that feeds him. He would never, go against George. But he has said things very subtly that has been small digs at the prequels and George.
Yeah,
he's had small digs, like the whole. I mean, just saying that, hey, we're going to go back to practical effects is like probably one of the biggest digs because it's just the CG thing, obviously.
Yeah, and then he was full blown asked about midi-chlorians. He was like, "You will never hear midi-chlorians and
ever again." Yeah.
So, like, that's not a dig. It's just like it's an admission of like fucking stupidest idea ever. It's never. Yes, it's canon, but it'll never come up in our movies. Type of a thing. Like, yeah, your drunk Uncle Bob exists, but he's never being invited to Christmas.
Right. I like his explanation of the Force. I was just like, the Force is everywhere, and some people are just more in tune to it than others, and some people can control it better and all this stuff. It's not just, a virus in your body. They never they never one time explain in Harry Potter why some people are wizards and some people are muggles. They never, ever explain it, and I'm fine with that. It doesn't need to be explained.
There's nothing you can do. You just either have it or you don't.
Yeah, in fact, two muggles can have a wizard kid, and a muggle and a wizard can have a muggle or a wizard kid, or two wizards can have a squib, someone who doesn't have any wizard powers. I love that. I was like, that's great. That's the way it should be. So yeah, it was. Overall, dude, I enjoyed this movie a lot. I really enjoyed it.
I know we nitpicked the shit out of it, but like I said in the beginning, like if the prequels didn't suck so goddamn bad, we would probably not like this movie as much.
No, I'd give it an 80, maybe a 75, 80% if we got good prequels, if we got really good prequels.
I'd probably go if I was literally going to just concentrate on the plot holes and not what I saw. I would probably go in the 60s.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like they just hit on all the notes that you needed to say. Like he had so much to do. I mean, he had to have a springboard.
He had to clean up a huge mess, dude.
Yeah.
This is like hiring a president after George Bush. You had to have someone come in and try to clean up a huge mess.
Yeah, he had to clean it up without actually saying, "I have to clean this up."
Right. Oh, I know. Imagine behind closed doors going, "Fuck George, you fucking asshole."
He's like, "Oh fuck, I want to do this, but you already fucked it up."
Yeah, and I guess the Toy Story 3 guy got credit for his writing, but I don't know how much of his stuff is in the movie. It's all JJ and Lauren and
what's that guy's name? Stan, right? His name's Stan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how much was actually in there. And like I'm guessing a lot of the fanboy shit that's in there has gotta be JJ.
Yeah, of course.
I wonder how much of like the heartfelt stuff is from Stanton.
From Kasdan? I think
no,
it's
Stan.
I don't know.
Because like there was remember when Guardians came out? Remember when Guardians came out? Like, and what's his face was all like, "And this is my script," and whatever.
James Gunn, it was a woman together.
Yeah, Gunn, basically is an asshole, but he basically didn't give any credit to the original screenwriter.
No,
even though she got credit for it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, no. And then the story came out about how much was actually in the movie. And that Gunn basically added or changed a few plot points here and there and made it his own. Well, so, she was the main starting point for the entire movie.
Well, basically, she developed a template for the new Guardians, I guess, not the older ones, but the newer ones. And he saw the template and just infused all his ideas and his shit into it, basically. But she's the one that developed the template or developed, some sort of story there. So, which is really easy to do. I mean, if someone just comes up with the initial idea, of course someone can come in and look at it and go, "Oh, like this is really good, but I'm going to do this and this and this." It's like, okay, so maybe from what I heard with the Toy Story 3 guys, he actually wrote a script, full script, and they went in and they just tore it apart. They rewrote a completely different script.
But then why would they give him screen credit then?
Well, because of all the work he did on it, I'm sure there's something that's got to be in there that's his, like something. But I think the overall,
I don't think we'd ever find out.
I think a lot of the dialogue was, the other guy, like JJ. You can totally tell the stuff that he put in there because it was very Star Trekian too. A lot of the stuff he was doing with the aliens, on the freighter.
See, when you say stuff like that,
the ships
when
flying
you say
around,
stuff, it's like it's very Star Trek-y.
Well, his Star Trek, not the old Star Trek.
No, I understand that, but because to me, his Star Trek was not Star Trek. To me, his Star Trek was Star Wars.
Yeah.
Because seriously, if you watch that movie, why it works so well for us is because it moves like a Star Wars movie. There's really no science to it.
It moves like one, but there is differences. But he definitely took some of his camera stuff that he did on that film and some of the storytelling elements that he likes to do.
Did you notice any lens flares in this movie?
Only one. I think it's when the Falcon is on Jakku. I think it does that loop-de-loop thing, and I think there's like a little star. But other than that, I don't think.
The only one I saw was when the Starkiller base fired the laser.
Well, yeah, there's
when
that
Kylo
too.
Ren
but
was standing on the ship.
Yeah, that was pretty badass, though. I think he even admits he went a little crazy on his last couple of films with that. If you watch Super 8 and you watch the Star Trek movies, oh my God, it's like every other scene there's a goddamn lens flare.
Yeah, Star Trek, there's a ton.
Yeah, but no, overall I really like the film, and I'm glad that it's like Star Wars. It's back on track. It felt like a Star Wars movie. Had a lot of homage, a lot of care in the dialogue, and a lot of the visual stuff, and a lot of fanboy stuff, which, quite frankly, how many years have you spent with your friends talking about, oh, how cool would it be if this happened or this and that? And you could totally tell he sat down and did that and just put it in the movie. So now we get a guy who's a very interesting filmmaker that's going to be making the next movie. I'm not so really looking forward to episode 9 as I am to 8, mostly because Rian Johnson's he's awesome. Every movie I've seen so far, Looper's one of my favorites.
Colin, whatever his name is, his big name, big fame thing is Jurassic World, which wasn't really that good of a movie. It just somehow made that ton of fucking money.
That's what worries me. Marvel has this tendency of hiring directors that are up and coming and stuff like that, who have a voice and all that stuff. But he also, all that he did was pay homage to Jurassic. Jurassic 2 and 3 don't exist. This is the first direct sequel to Jurassic.
Not that he has to close out this trilogy, which is difficult to do.
Yeah, which he says there's 2 more movies going to be made. I'm just like, well, what else are you going to do? What other island is this shit? I'm like, how many different fucking times? This was kind of they just took Jurassic Park and they made a direct sequel to it, homage to it. They had bigger and badder dinosaurs. The movie parallels what we want as an audience. The people in the film want bigger dinosaurs to go see in the park, and we as an audience want to see a big ass dinosaur fuck shit up. And it worked. I don't know. It struck a chord. I don't think the second or third movie is going to do nearly as well.
I don't think so either.
But Star Wars, you can almost say the same thing. Maybe the second, third movie don't do as well unless the middle movie is key to the whole thing.
It has Luke going for it.
Yeah, that's true too. I think that the marketing geniuses don't put Luke in the movie till the very freaking end, so that way you're just dying to see, what's going to happen next in the next movie.
Yeah.
So, I have no clue where they're going from here. Supposedly the script is done and it's amazing. Everyone says it's amazing, whatever. And So we'll see in a year and a half. Shit, we have a new Star Wars movie in a year.
Yeah, we have Rogue One coming out in December.
Yeah, so that's going to be pretty cool. But
all right, man. So this will end our first ever podcast. A nice 2.5 hour long, almost 3 hour long.
Yes, just as long as the damn movie. Yes,
longer. This is
longer than the movie. Nice.
This is the special edition version of the Force Awakens review.
Yes, and we didn't rush. We didn't rush the ending like the movie did, so that's good.
Yeah, this is a special edition version where you're going to see like a nice, like TIE fighter flying in the background. That's not necessary, and nice lizard walking right now.
Speaking of which, that homage to Apocalypse Now with the TIE fighters in the sunset was fucking awesome too.
Oh, that was a great shot.
Good. God, it was a good shot. So many good shots in this movie. Don't have enough time in the day to talk about it, but next time we talk, definitely we should dive into the original trilogy, and then lastly go into the prequels and tie everything up. And,
we'll work our way backwards from 7 back to 1. Unfortunately,
that sounds good. That's a good idea. All right, man.
All right, that's it.
That's it. We're done. We did it.